Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about the amazing deal that I got on the Celebrity Constellation. I was so lucky because I don't think they'll ever have this deal again. During COVID, I was shopping around directly on the Celebrity website, and I discovered that they were having a solo deal, a solo special. So I guess it was during the time where, during COVID, obviously nobody was traveling, or people maybe weren't allowed to travel, or they were scared to travel, or I don't even think people thought it was possible. So when I saw that it was 9 nights, I was like, wow, that's amazing. The itinerary was Italy, Montenegro, and Slovenia. I had to catch the cruise in Civitavecchia. The cruise traveled around Italy into the Baltic Sea, and the drop off point was in Ravenna, which only cost me $600. And I
Wow.
couldn't believe my eyes as I saw this deal, and I just booked it. I booked it immediately, even though I didn't have visa, because on my South African passport, you need a Schengen visa to travel to Europe. Over the next 2 weeks, I got all my paperwork ready, and I managed to get my Schengen visa easily. There was no wait time because nobody was really traveling, and it only cost me €100. And the nice thing about the visa is that it's valid for 180 days. In that 6 month period, you were allowed to be in Europe for 90 days. And it was also a multiple entry visa, which was great, so because you could come and go. Celebrity Constellation is by far one of my favorites because it's just such an elegant ship. It's small and intimate, and the decor, the artwork, the staff were amazing. Then of that 9 nights, I think there were 2 sea days. Basically made me get a taster of what Italy is like, and it gave me a taster of Europe. I actually had to Google where Slovenia and Montenegro is. I know this might sound ignorant, but I'm not really aware of some of the countries in Eastern Europe. And if it wasn't for this cruise, I most likely probably wouldn't have even traveled to these countries. So I love that the cruise gave me an opportunity to see parts of Europe that I wouldn't usually plan on going to see. Be sure to check out my Italy videos. And then I will also do a separate video on Montenegro because there's a little bit of a backstory behind that one. I will talk about Slovenia. We only stopped here for a day, so from 8 to 5. I didn't do any excursions. I figured I'll just walk around at the port to save money. But it's a really beautiful port. It's right on the waterfront. So the town was also really beautiful to walk through and look at all the shops and the cobblestone streets. And then there was also a beach close by that I walked to. And I basically just spent the day chilling on the beach. And funny enough, I found out while I was in Europe that the beaches don't have sand. They have stones. So you actually, if you're gonna swim in the ocean, you need sandals, like waterproof sandals that you can tie around your ankles, just so that you can walk on the stones, because it's very uncomfortable if you're walking barefoot. Water was cold, but it was still lovely because it was a hot day. I went during August, so it was summer in Europe. Actually, I never spent. I don't think I spent money at this port because I ate before I left the ship, and then I ate when I went back on the ship. But it was a really lovely day in Slovenia. I was very lucky to get this cruise, and the $600 that I paid, it didn't include Wi-Fi, of which I don't usually need. I usually download stuff on my phone, and then I use Wi-Fi at the ports. And then it didn't include a beverage package, of which I also didn't. I realized that I don't need because when I travel alone, I don't really drink alcohol much. Sometimes not even at all. And the cruise does offer water and iced tea and hot tea and coffee and lemonade complimentary. The only excursion I did was the excursion to Pisa, Oh, and I did a few excursions in Montenegro. So that was a separate cost. And then everything else is included, like entertainment, food, the cabin. I was lucky to get I think it's called the Ocean View cabin. So I was lucky to get this cabin as well. I ran into Patrick, the cruise director, who I had met on the Abraham Hicks Caribbean cruise on the Reflection that I had done in March of that year. And then I met him again in August on this cruise. It was so nice to see Patrick again. He also remembered me from the Abraham Hicks cruise in the Caribbean because one day he pleasantly surprised me with a note and a bottle of Prosecco in my cabin. So that was very sweet of him. The entertainment was really lovely. They had comedians, musicians. They also had an all-white deck party, so that was really nice because of the weather. I met so many solo travelers from all over the world. So it was very nice to get to hang out with other solo travelers while I was on the ship. I flew into FCO Airport, which is an hour outside of Rome in Italy. And then I stayed in Rome for one day, and then I took a train from Rome to get the ship at the port of Civitavecchia. And then I also organized, and that train ride cost me like nothing, maybe like $7. And then I organized with the ship to get a bus ride from the ship in Ravenna to the airport close to Ravenna to fly back. I was also pleasantly surprised that the flights to Europe from Cape Town was also really affordable. I managed to get a return flight at the time for only $500. It's actually a very nice way to get to see Europe because you don't have to worry about how you're going to get from place to place. You basically every day you wake up and you're in a new country or you're in a new town. You don't have to stress about how you're gonna travel because and you don't have to add that the transport costs. So I do recommend that if you're ever going to go to Europe for the first time, maybe do a cruise. I enjoyed this cruise so much that I actually ended up finding another deal and going back to Europe and seeing other parts of Europe. Be sure to check that out in my next video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.